Life takes odd turns, but even tattered and worn yarn still has value. Tired joints and health flares don't have to stop the journey. Welcome to Hawksong Weaving, where all our paths are a little bit warped. I had so much fun with this project. It's not often that I get commission work, or at least not often yet. A mom commissioned this for her 14-year-old as an iPod case. I was given the dimensions of the iPod and told to leave some extra room for the earbuds. This is also the same mom who bought out my entire stock of e-reader bags in one fell swoop, so it's safe to say she likes my work. The colors that they wanted were dark navy, dark purple, deep garnet, and in a soft acrylic yarn because it's for a teen who has some sensory sensitivities. Valid as heck, I've encountered yarn that was like watching a train wreck. It was so awful. I genuinely wondered how it made it into manufacturing. I tried a couple different colors on this just to make sure that they had a couple different options, and then sent the pictures of the different options to the mom so I could get final approval. Unfortunately, I hadn't had my morning tea yet, so I forgot to film the sewing process, but we live and we learn. My e-reader bags do require a sewing machine, because if I just tried to cut this woven fabric, it would unravel very quickly. So I used my zigzag stitch as almost an applique. I wanted those stitches very close together to bind the raw end of this fabric and keep it in one piece. Again, because I did this before caffeine, I left the opening on the wrong side of the fabric. I really recommend both having your caffeine first and leaving the opening on the selvage side of your project. It makes things a lot easier. The rest of this fabric will get used for another project down the line, maybe some scrappy sachets, or maybe even another e-reader case or iPod case. I'm flipping this inside out and using a hair stick left over from when I had long hair to poke out the corners, but a chopstick or a knitting needle would do just fine. Checking the measurements one last time, making sure that I've got enough space. I don't usually do this type of measuring, and this is a commission work, so I want to make sure that I'm getting things just right. I'm using embroidery thread to do a whip stitch up the sides of this bag. You could use a contrasting color or a coordinated color like this one. It's your bag and your project. You do what makes you happy. want to say thank you for sticking around this long. If you'd like to support my work, please feel free to subscribe or follow. Links to other social media can be found in my bio. Like a lot of things about how I create content, take what works for you and leave the rest. Now that I'm done playing embroidery thread chicken, I'm sewing that tail end of thread under the hand-woven fabric, but not through the lining fabric. I do this for most of this type of hand sewing. It's a nice way to not deal with super obvious knots. I do the same thing with the thread that I'm using for my beadwork. I'm getting the beading on, being careful not to catch the lining thread. This bit is a bit finicky and it was humid, so my hands weren't cooperating as much as I would have liked. But I got through it, and this was a lot of fun. I like figuring out how to place the beads, where things should go, and just having fun with this. This central bead is going to be for anchoring the loop for the clasp. I'm being careful to leave the length I want while anchoring the loop into the center bead, then going on to the rest of my beadwork. This is also pretty finicky, but it takes some practice, but it's still so worth it. that the beadwork and the loop on the flap are done, I'll get started on the bead that will be the button of sorts. I'll get this bead on just like the rest of my beadwork, but I'll be careful to leave it a little looser so that I can wrap it with the embroidery thread. This raises the bead from the fabric so that the loop can catch on to it better. And done! That's a commissioned iPod case. I'm so glad to get this commissioned work done. This style of bag is one of my most popular products, and it's so easily adapted into different sizes. I'm so glad for the odd turn your life took that got you here. Thanks for spending some time with Hawksong Weaving, where we're all a little bit warped.